Welcome, my friends. We are here for the 418th episode of the Life is a Marathon show. I greatly appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I very much appreciate and am in a deep state of gratitude for the exchange of energy. We are participating in the law of mutual exchange. I am exchanging energy with you as you listen to the sound of my voice and either come into agreement or alignment with what it is that I have to share with you. You actually are radiating energy back to me. And so I am trusting that there is this beautiful harmony of energy, of sound that is reverberating between us. And we are in the process of conducting this beautiful symphony that is our lives. And so I want to share with you some things that I was covering in the last few episodes where I talked about transforming your mind, where we talked about this idea of not conforming to the pattern of this world, but being transformed by the renewing of your mind and what that really meant. And then I did in episode 416, I shared a story with you in which I basically broke down that the mind is always afraid. The mind is always afraid, but it is only afraid of one thing. And it is only afraid of the heart, because the mind has come to become the master of our lives. The mind, our ego, has come to think that it is really the heart, that it is the master. But deep down inside, it always knows that the heart is the master, and that the heart is the source of all energy, of all real knowing and understanding and wisdom and intuition, and that it is actually the captain. But the heart has graciously allowed the mind to think that it's running the show. And so anytime the heart has something to say, anytime the heart wants to chime in with its intuition, the mind is afraid that its days of being in charge are over. And so it's constantly afraid of the heart, and it's constantly trying to silence the heart. So today what I want to do, though, is share with you that it doesn't have to be that way, that there can indeed be this beautiful symphony that is the music of our lives, where we literally vibrate in a beautiful energy, and that as we interact with the beautiful thoughts of our mind in alignment with the guidance, the wisdom, the knowing and intuition of our hearts, and that our hands, this body that we have been given, that it is all supposed to flow in unity together. So I want to talk about the unity of heart, mind, and hands, and what our lives can really look like. This is the full potential that all of us know that we are capable of tapping into. Yet there's this disconnect. And so I want to talk about that. Before I jump into it, though, I do want to give you another invitation to join myself and Bill Courtwright and David Barreto and Dan Waldschmidt and Dave Connolly at A Weekend to Break Free. If you live in California, if you are listening to me from Los Angeles, from San Diego, from Orange County, you're really from anywhere close to California, in California, close to California, if you can get to the San Bernardino Mountains and join us on May 4th, 5th, and 6th at the Poly Retreat Center for A Weekend to Break Free. We are going to help you break out of your comfort zone to actually, and the comfort zone really isn't your comfort zone. I hope you realize that. I hope you realize that this net that you have cast around you to keep you safe, to keep yourself comfortable, is a construct of the mind that doesn't want things to change. Okay, but the heart wants to grow. The hands want to be in union with the heart. and the mind to create this amazing life that you are capable of creating and living and maintaining and growing and influencing the lives of others to do the same. So please join us. BreakFreeWorkshops.com. We would love to have you for this wonderful, life-changing event. I love doing live events. So anytime you get an opportunity to interact with me, to interact with Bill Courtwright, to exchange ideas with other like-minded people, it really does create this consciousness that is bigger than us. It creates literally what's called a master mind. Okay, so breakfreeworkshops.com. So think about this. There is this thing in you. There is this aspect of the divine in you that knows that life is beautiful, that knows that there is this flow that just naturally happens. And think about this, the states of nature. Let's just take a look at the cycle of water, for example. Okay, water is always flowing outside of our homes, okay, and even inside our homes. But air is constantly in motion. There is this constant movement of air, the winds that circle the earth, that control our weather systems. But let's just think about water for a second. Water, as we know, as do all states of matter, okay? But water is the best place or the best way to physically describe the three states of matter. And so we have water that is in liquid form, okay? That is its real physical substance, okay? It is in liquid form. And then as evaporation happens, okay, it turns into this vapor, okay? And so there is solid, there is liquid, there is gas, okay? Water freezes and becomes ice. It evaporates and turns into vapor, okay? There's this constant flow that's also going on between the states of liquid and the states of vapor or gas, all right? So we have water that's just in our atmosphere. It collects in ponds and in streams and puddles after it rains. It collects in oceans. The sun shines on it and it turns into this vapor and it rises up into the atmosphere where it cools and it becomes clouds. And as the clouds gather and enough of the moisture comes together to the place where the air, the atmosphere is, where the water vapor is too heavy to stay in that atmosphere, it falls back to earth. And so there is this beautiful cycle that is always going on. There's this beautiful flow that just occurs naturally. If you look at the cycles of life, this unity, there seems to be threes always going on, right? There is this internal drive for growth. There is this desire that wells up within us to want to be something, to express something to the world. Okay, that's the heart within us. We have been given this amazingly powerful mind, this brain that when connected to the heart can think of ways. Okay, heart, high command, if you will. You've given us an order to try to express music in the world. If what is welling up inside you is this desire to play an instrument, then the mind gets about the idea of, okay, let's think about this. What instruments would we like to play? And it thinks about music theory and the expression. So the mind is there to give us the ability to think logically, to think rationally. The mind is also its own unique creative thought center. Our mind can think up ideas all on its own. And that's where the problem runs in. That's where we talked about this idea where the mind is always afraid and the mind be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's actually the renewing of the relationship of the mind to the heart, seeking guidance and intuition and inspiration, all of these things that flow from within us to be expressed outwardly, the mind can take that and be creative to want to express it in its own unique way. We all have individual talents. We all have this incredibly powerful, beautiful mind that can indeed create. And then when we connect that to our hands, our actions, and that's how we carry it out. When I wanted to learn how to play the guitar, I felt this desire welling up within me. I heard music. I saw friends playing guitar. And I didn't approach it from some logical, rational, oh, well, I think that would be an interesting thing to do. No, it was this deep, deep desire within me that said, Bruce, we want to express love and beauty and words with lyrics and melodies attached to it that can convey not just the meaning of the lyrics, but can convey an energy to those who hear music. So I went about thinking about the guitar, and I went about thinking about the chords as I learned how to play them, and I engaged my hands and I took action. And so there was this beautiful unity, this flow, this cycle of life that was happening between my heart, my mind, and my hands. And and when I play music, I feel so deeply, deeply grounded and connected to God, if you will. If you have no concept or belief in God, that's okay. But I have never met a human being who doesn't intuitively, instinctively know this deep sense of connection with your purpose in life, that which drives you, that which really feeds your soul. I call it God. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but I've never met anybody, even someone who has a purely scientific outlook on life, that when they're doing the science, they are caught in this flow. Okay, so I want to stay with this idea of unity and flowing. There is a river of life. There is a river of creation. There is a river of creativity that is always happening all around us, okay, whether or not we are participating in it. And I don't even want to give the idea that the river is there and it's flowing, and all you need to do is come to the awareness, although that's part of it, and that you need to go and step into the river and to participate in the flow of life. The truth is that you are in the river. You are always in the river. The question is, are you aware of it? And are you flowing with the river of life? Are you flowing with the natural direction that life, that creation is moving in? Regardless, again, whatever your idea of evolution is, are you, as a human being, evolving? Are you growing? Are you constantly becoming that which you were created to become? Or has your mind isolated itself from that flow and said, nope, we can do this on our own. In fact, the flow doesn't exist, so we have to figure it out all by ourselves. And that creates this sense of isolation. This creates this idea of separateness from one another, this idea of separateness from nature, this idea of separateness from this universal energy, this infinite intelligence, this God force, this beautiful energy in which we all live, that nature just seems to be such a natural part of. We are always in the river. The question is, are we in alignment with? Are we swimming with the river? Okay? Are we participating in the flow of life, or are we in resistance to it? Are we creating dissonance? Are we, going back to some musical terms, is there discord rather than harmony? Okay, within ourselves, within our desires, within our purpose, our core values, if we can bring all of that into this beautiful unity, then there is no limit to what I as an individual, what you as an individual can create for yourself. And then the more of us who gather together in that mindset where I am constantly seeking to become the fullest expression of who I was created to be, and you are constantly seeking to become the fullest expression of who you were created to be, and we gather around us more people with that same growth and creativity and natural flow mindset, then there is no competition between us, right? We are all about the business of creating and what we actually do with our own lives individually, but then again, corporately. We create this beautiful music together because you are vibrating in your energy that might be a guitar. I might be vibrating in my energy, which may be a flute or an oboe. And someone over here is a drum who's participating in the rhythm, the percussion of life. There are string instruments. There's timpani. There's brass. There's all of these beautiful sounds going on. And the music is being conducted all around us. Are we paying attention to the conductor? Are we listening to each other? And are we creating this unity, first and foremost, within ourselves individually? But then are we connecting with each other in this beautiful harmony, connecting our hearts, connecting our creative thought processes in our mind? And then are we actively producing beautiful sounds through the hands that we've been given. So let's talk very briefly about head, heart, and hand. Okay, so as I've described, our heart, the way I like to think about it is let's use maybe some military or rather nautical terms here. Let's imagine that there is a high command. All right. And the high command sees the big picture. It understands all of the fleets in our Navy. And so there are battleships, there are cruisers, there are submarines. And don't think in terms of war and destruction here, but let's just think of a beautiful navy for whatever purpose. Maybe it's maybe what the high command runs is a mercy navy, where we have all of these mercy vessels going out to do beautiful, creative work to help people, to assist, to train, to educate, to nurture people. So we've got this vast fleet within our nature, but there is a high command that sees the big picture and understands the purpose of each and every vessel within the Navy. Okay, for it knows the purpose for which each vessel was created. Now, that is the heart. That's the intuition. Our individual intuition is the signal that we get from a high command. Okay, call it God again. Call it infinite intelligence. Call it universal field. Whatever your belief is, this higher power. Maybe it's just a vibrational energy that seems to be the foundation of everything that is. Again, we can go back to Albert Einstein and maybe just talk about pure science, but Einstein says it doesn't really matter. There, no pun intended there. He when he received his Nobel Prize for his work in matter, he thanked the board that gave him the award for the Nobel Prize for physics for his work in matter, and he says, "Thank you for giving me an award for something that really doesn't exist. Solid, liquid, and gas are all just vibrating atoms, and vibrating atoms are just a universal energy wave. It doesn't matter what element you started with, whether you start with hydrogen or oxygen or neon or iron or whatever the base elements are that make up everything in the known universe. It doesn't matter what we start with. As we break it down and break it down and break it down, we will find that there is just a single identical energy at the source of everything." Okay. So that's our heart. That's where our purpose comes from. That's where our core values come from. You're born with a purpose. You weren't. I talked about purpose in a previous episode, and I talked about it in terms of, if you were born to be an accountant, and nobody's actually. And so what I want to clarify is nobody's actually born to be the accountant. Okay, no one is born to be a rock star or a physics teacher. Okay, what we are born with are purposes. Okay, and so my purpose is love. All right, I know that when I am engaged with and in the energy of love, when I am experiencing love, receiving love, when I am radiating love for being alive, when I am radiating love for you as you listen to the sound of my voice through this podcast, it is my sincere desire that you can hear that I love you, that I love me, that I love being alive. And when I am in that energy, I vibrate at a really, really high level that makes me feel good. And there are also my core values, which happen to be love, which happen to be freedom and peace and growth and health. Okay, my purpose I was born with. It never changes. Everyone was born with a purpose. Now, what we get to do is we get to engage our mind and we get to activate our hands to come up with what we do with our lives. And so there is a mission in life, okay? But the heart is where we get our deep, deep knowing of who and what we are. It's where we get our real purpose, our intuition, and it is where we form our real core values. Okay? And so that's the heart. That is the high command, if you will. Okay? And then the mind, though, okay? The mind is what we were created with, all right? And so the mind is our kind of unique identity. All right? This is where we actually have beliefs, where in my mind, okay, I am a man. In my heart, at core energy, it's not gender specific. It is an energy. It's a desire to express and to be and to influence the whatever the desires of the high command are of God. It's not gender specific. But in my mind, which again is a gift, this is my brain, if you will, okay? This is like the commander of the ship. This is the commander of the submarine or the hospital ship, if you will, okay? So as the commander, I have certain beliefs about my mission in life. Okay, so my mission in life is when I'm tapped into my purpose and my core values, and I recognize what my hands are good at. This is where I decide what to do for a career. This is what I do. This is how I decide what my hobbies are, the foods that I like to eat, the way I like to express love to my boys, to my friends, to my coworkers, to you. It's through the head that I decide that, you know what, I want to do a podcast so that I can express to a very, very large audience my philosophies of life, my desire to see everybody reach their full potential, to know their purpose in life, to let go of the competitiveness, the scarcity mindset, this lack, this fear, this thing that means that says I have to compete against you for my slice of the pie, because if you've got a bigger slice of the pie than I do, then it means there's less for me, and so there's this competition. And so the mind is capable of disconnecting from the heart. The mind is capable of mutiny against the high command. And so it is It is through this process of personal development. It's through this process of spiritual development. This is what Paul was writing about when he said, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is what he meant. He meant this is where the mind needs to come back to renew the connection with the heart. Because in and of itself, it can indeed create things that of this world. Your mind can think of creative, although they're ultimately competitive, ways to make money. Connected with the hands can become a great athlete, can create a great giant or captain of industry. Okay, but the head, when disconnected from the heart, is only going to create things that ultimately don't last, right? That aren't necessarily in alignment with purpose. And so there will always be this discontentedness, right? This is where we set goals, and if they're not connected with our heart, the goals will never ever satisfy unless the goals were in alignment with our purpose and our core values, right? So again, there's nothing wrong with earning multiple millions of dollars, all right? I am abundant. I am knowing who I am, creating vast amounts of wealth for myself and for other people. But it's not through this separation. It's not through this independence from your heart. It's not from this independence with other people. It's through acts of creation for myself and getting business owners to think of their companies more as symphonies, right? Than actual, producers of widgets just to make as much money as possible. Again, we have an obligation as company owners, business owners, to be profitable, right? So that we can pay our employees, so that we can do humanitarian projects. All of that, at least in the current structure of society right now, it takes money to do that. So it's in the head that we create ideas. It's where we are logical. It is where we are rational. But we need to connect that with the heart. And so that's really where I was in the Transform Your Mind episode. And so now there's this connection with the hands. Okay, the hand is our physical abilities. Okay, people like Tom Brady, and that's just the first quarterback that comes to mind. Aaron Rodgers is another one. I think about the great football players. My goodness, we're watching basketball these days, and I can't even begin to pronounce his name, but there's this amazing young Greek player who's playing for the Milwaukee Bulls, and just the physical talent that he has to play basketball, the Michael Jordans of the world, all of these great athletes. This is the hand. This is the connection or the physical abilities that we've been given. The great musicians of our day, the Mozarts, the Bachs, the Beethovens, the Isaac Perlmans, the Michael Jacksons, right? The Bryson Tillers and the all of the other amazing, Drake, these great rap musicians, the Beyoncés and the Celine Dion's of the world. These are our physical bodies, all right? And we have been given amazing, amazing talents. Each one of us has talents and physical abilities that are unique to us. And so it's tapping into what can I do with my hands that receive direct connection or instruction from the mind, okay? So the mind, my mind, is where I was learning how to play the guitar. All right, so let me come back to that. And there's this beautiful passage in the book of The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles that I republished. You can get it from my website. Just go to brucevanhorn.com/books. Click on Create the Life You Want with the Science of Getting Rich, and you'll find this book. It's in the public domain, written in 1910. And so he describes this boy sitting at a piano, frustrated because he says, I feel the music within me, but I can't get my fingers to go right. And so Wallace Wattles describes that was the urge, and I love the language that Wattles uses in The Science of Getting Rich. He says that was the urge of primal substance, longing to express music through the boy. Everything of music was wanting to seek expression through the boy, heart, okay? Connection from the high command, wanting to channel music to the world through the boy, okay? The boy could feel it. Yet, because he was young and his mind was connected to the heart, it was in the process of learning how to read the sheet music, or learning the mind is telling the fingers what to do. So there is the hand. And so it creates, the hand receives instruction from the mind, and the mind, when we are in perfect flow, when we're in this unity, receives divine, high command instructions just at the base purpose level. Okay? So I don't know that high command, that God is telling you to be a neurosurgeon or an orthopedic surgeon or an accountant or an astrophysicist. Okay? But there is, from God, from high command, from universal intelligence, there is this desire to express your purpose and your core values to the world. And you have been given a beautiful mind that is capable of expressing that, carrying out the instructions from the high command in a variety of ways. Okay, so I have learned that my purpose is love, and I know what my core values are. Now, my mind has crafted a mission statement around there. And so my mission statement is to awaken and empower people to live intentionally as the fullest expression of who they were created to be. Okay, that's my mission. My mind has created that mission. I can't say that entire mission statement was divinely given to me from God. Okay, but my mind has decided, okay, these things that I feel within me, that I believe that God is wanting to express in and through me, I can carry those out in a variety of ways. I can write books. I can do podcasts. I can do live events. I can do one-on-one coaching with people. I can work with businesses to teach them how to not just make money, but how to bring their entire staff, your entire team in alignment. And I can coach a business owner to think of himself as the conductor of the symphony, and that his job is to work with his team to get them to play the music that they were created to play within this organization, to produce a music that is the product, that is the service. But you'll notice that the conductor of a symphony has its back, his or her back, to the audience. Guess what the audience is? The audience are the customers, right? So when you buy a ticket to go see a symphony, you pay money, you buy a ticket, you go into the concert hall, and you sit down prepared to hear this music that may or may not have been written by the conductor, but the conductor is the leader. The conductor is the CEO of the business. And the conductor's job is not to turn around and say, and to give to every single person there what they purchased. Okay? The CEO's job is to face his real customers, his charge, if you will, each and every individual players of the symphony that he is conducting. Now, he has, or she, okay, there's lots of way talented female conductors. So when I say he, I'm using the royal we there. So when we are a conductor, our primary purpose is to allow the heart that is within me speak to my mind that has come up with this idea for a company to produce a product or service, to produce a work of music, and to hire individual players to play their individual music because that's what they were put on this planet to do, and to bring together the perfect people and have them focused on me as the CEO to conduct them, to lead them, to express music through them. But we're all playing off the same sheet music. We're all playing individual parts. And it is the symphony that I am conducting that is actually producing the product that is coming out over my shoulder to the audience who is behind me. So as the CEO, it's really not my job necessarily to interact with the customers. It's my job to conduct the symphony, which is my staff, my team member, and encourage them and to lift them up and to share with them my vision for what this music, our product or service, really is, and to get them to vibrate with that and to add their unique gifts and abilities, their unique sound to it. And that produces the product which the customers behind me have come to purchase. That's the beautiful flow of business in this unity of head, heart, and hand. So I'm going to wrap it up there. This is the idea. We have this heart. Again, I'll liken it to high command. And we have been given this mind that receives the general purpose. Okay? You are the commander of a mercy ship. You are the commander of a vessel that has a purpose in life. Now, you as the commander, that's your mind, get to carry out that mission in whatever way works best, provided that it's in alignment with the heart, the main purpose, the high command. Okay, but you get to decide how to decorate your ship, how fast to sail it, even what direction per se. Your job as the mind is to determine where is the greatest need that we need to sail this mercy ship. Okay, and in alignment with the high command, I get to say, okay, this is what our ship does. These are the supplies that we need for it. When we get to where we're going, this is how we are going to serve those we have come to serve. And now the hand are the crew members. Okay, the hand is what carries out the commands of the head. And so as long as the hands, and it's hard for the hands to really rebel, okay, but I guess they can. I go back to this idea of a marathon runner, all right? When I was learning how to run marathons, a couple things had to happen. First of all, I had this desire well up within me. I had this vision of myself that I am a marathon runner, that I am capable of being a marathon runner, and that ultimately I can use the metaphor of running the marathon of life in my life's work. But I had this deep desire well up within me to run a marathon. Okay? That came from the heart. I had to connect my head to it because I had to wrap my brain around that a marathon is 26.2 miles. And I had to keep my head, because the head, the mind, all by itself wants to say, no, I don't think so. That requires a lot of time. When you're running a marathon, you're not necessarily making money. And then there's the guilt about spending the time out running because your family thinks you should be spending time with them. But no, as I aligned my mind with my purpose of becoming the marathon runner, okay, I already am the marathon runner at the core. Now the mind has to figure out, okay, how do we actually do that? So what does a training program work with? And then the mind has to be in constant communication with the body, with my hands. Again, work with the metaphor here because the marathon running really uses the feet, okay? So hand/feet, okay? But here's what I learned about running marathons, okay? Yes, the feet actually carry out the actual work of running the marathon, okay? And in the course of training for a marathon, the feet and the legs, the hamstrings, the thighs, the knees, the ankles, it's hard work. We're asking it to do things it has never done before. They get sore. They may get injured. And so the hands/the feet, the physical body, is going to be saying, you know what? No, we don't want to do this. We don't like this idea. This is uncomfortable for us. We've never done this before. Nevertheless, I will follow the commands of the mind. Okay? And so this is a metaphor but that is actually true for anything that you decide to do. Okay? Your feet and hands will do nothing more than what the mind tells them to. So when I'm out for running a marathon and my feet, maybe I developed blisters along the way. Okay, my feet might be bleeding because of a blister. I might have a thigh that is just saying, you know what? We are done. We don't have anything left. We don't want to do this. We want to sit down right now. Our feet are throbbing. Okay, but if I'm at the 20-mile mark and my feet start complaining and griping and saying it's time to stop, if my mind has disconnected from the purpose. The purpose is run 26 miles because you are a marathon runner. Okay? The mind has to connect to that big why, to that purpose. Okay? And when my mind is connected to the purpose, the mind can figure out ways to do this. And it can say to the feet, I know you're hurting. I know you're tired, but we are running a marathon and we are going 6 more miles. Okay? The feet will begrudgingly do it. But the minute that the mind disconnects from the big why and the mind starts listening to the feet, okay? And the mind says, you know what? This is a dumb idea. I don't know why we're doing this. The feet will come to an instant stop and say, hallelujah, we've been telling you this ever since the beginning. Let's go back to the couch and watch TV and eat donuts because that's what the body likes to do. Okay? So the minute the mind says, you know what? No, this is dumb. And the only way the mind would do that is by disconnecting from high command. It's when the mind commits mutiny against high command and it decides, you know what? No, this is dumb. Now, in the process of training, the mind can indeed say, you know what? Okay, if I push this really, really, really hard, I may do permanent damage to my feet. And I am in partnership with my body. So I do need to listen. I do need to get feedback from the staff of my ship, right? But I am ultimately in control of this. And so if the report comes back from the feet that, hey, you know what? We just broke the ankle. The ankle bone is now broken. Okay? Then it might make sense to not run this marathon. Okay? But do we give up? Probably not. Okay? Or do we say, okay, the feet are screaming, the thigh muscle is now pulled. We originally, and again, it was created in the mind, we had a goal of running a 3-hour and 30-minute marathon. Okay? We are still in alignment with our big why. We are still in alignment with our purpose. And so we are still going the distance. But maybe we adjust the goal. Okay? And maybe now we walk for a little while. And we let go of the idea of running a 3-hour and 30-minute marathon because other circumstances have arisen Okay, and it might not be physically wise to do that. So again, there's this constant connection, there's this constant communication between the hands back to the head. The head evaluates it all, and is this still in alignment with our purpose? And if so, then it's okay. Okay? I have actually never had what's called a DNF, a did not finish. I have finished every single marathon that when I ran across the starting line, I ran across the finish line. I have never dropped out of a marathon. But I have often crossed the finish line at a time much slower than I had originally trained for, that I had originally planned for. But I was still in constant communication, constant flow between what is my heart saying? Is the mind in alignment with the heart? And can I get the feet on board? Okay. So there is this beautiful, beautiful connection of head, heart, and hand, heart, head, hand, if you will. So there's this constant flow, this constant cycle of life that when you are in alignment, if we can keep our mind from committing mutiny, and that's the hardest work because the mind wants to be the boss and it doesn't want to be in alignment with the heart because it ultimately doesn't trust. In our world that we live in right now, we are constantly taught, don't follow your heart. Don't follow your heart. You've got to get out and hustle and grind and work. And there's only a certain number of girls out there. And so you've got to ask that one out. And if that one doesn't ask or say yes, then you will probably be lonely for the rest of your life. Or, we've got to go get this job. And the world tells us that success is we have to have $10 million in the bank now, or we can't retire we can't even think of retiring comfortably unless we have a $10 million retirement portfolio. Well, who says so? Well, who says so is the combined mind of the culture in which we live that has completely disconnected from the heart, because the heart says there is no scarcity. There is no lack in the world. Okay? And think about this in terms of energy. Energy is always, always available. You just need to tap into it. How many times, I can't tell you how many times in my own life, I have just been bone tired, and all I want to do is either go to bed or just sit on my couch, or I've been sad and depressed and just down, and I just don't want to do anything. And if just some friend or acquaintance calls and says, "Hey, Bruce, you want to go out and get some pizza or something like that?" I'm like, "No, dude, I am so tired." And you know what? No, I'm just staying in. Okay. And then 5 minutes later, my phone can ring, and it can be from that one special person. Okay, maybe it is the love of my life who I haven't heard from in a while. Maybe it's a friend from college who I haven't seen in 20 years. But all of a sudden, there's this spark. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. And your heart says, yes, you are supposed to go connect with that person. Guess what I have? 5 minutes ago, I told my buddy, no, I'm just not up for going to get pizza. And the next thing I know, I'm up, I'm getting dressed, maybe taking a shower, I'm putting on, cologne or wherever. I'm out the door and in my car to go meet that person. Where did that energy come from? It was always there. I just wasn't tapped into it because I had disconnected from the source of all energy, the source of all abundance, which flows through us, to us from the heart. Okay, so there's your connection of heart, head, hand. There's this beautiful, beautiful cycle of life. And I love this idea that you are the conductor of your life. Okay? The score has been written by the heart. The mind is the conductor who assembles all of the musicians and assembles the pieces, arranges the music. There is this desire to play music that comes from the heart. The head, the mind, is the conductor of it all. And the individual players in the symphony are the hands. Okay? Without the hands, the music doesn't happen. This is what's missing from the overall from the vast majority of the teaching of the law of attraction is missing the hand. You will see, so much on Instagram or Twitter, I'll see, you have to dream big. You have to believe big. You have to feel it within your body. And when you dream and believe and feel, it will come true. Well, no, folks, it won't. It requires the hand to actually play the music. Does God provide for the birds? Yes, but God does not throw the worms up into the tree. Okay? The birds have to participate in the creation process. The birds have to actively fly down out of their nest and trust that the worms are in the ground. Okay? So it requires the hands. Okay? So the hands all by themselves are just busy doing, but they've got no direction if they're disconnected from the mind. Okay? The mind can get the hands to do amazing things on a plane of competition, on a plane of creating businesses and wealth and setting goals and carrying them out. But again, if they're disconnected from the heart, they're meaningless. And we will find ourselves on this constant hamster wheel of, we thought that earning that amount of money was going to give us peace and security, and then we achieve it. Okay, the head and the mind can achieve amazing things. Okay, but if the goal wasn't connected to the heart, it will never satisfy, because the heart is saying, this is our purpose. This is why we are here. And so if the goal was not in alignment with that, and the setting of the goal was not just the natural expression of that, okay, there are probably plenty of people who are really quite successful in the music world. Okay, you can probably look at some bands that show up and they produce a number one bestseller, and they might produce 2 or 3 really popular songs, but then they fade away. They just disappear because their mind says, let's be musicians and let us, this is what the pop music culture wants, so let's give them what we want. We have analyzed what society wants in pop music, and so we can produce that. So that's the mind and the hand producing music, and you can sell a lot of records. But if the heart wasn't saying, from the moment you were born, you are supposed to be a musician. You are supposed to create beautiful music. If that wasn't the purpose, okay, the mind will never be satisfied, and the mind will always be afraid that what it creates will not satisfy the public. And so there will be this great disconnect. So again, going to wrap it up there. I know I said that 10 minutes ago, but here we are. I just felt these things to express through you. So heart, head, and hand, keep them in this beautiful cycle, this beautiful synchronicity in your life as you take action. Action connected to a mind that is connected to the heart will produce a beautiful, purposeful, meaningful, and fulfilling life for you and for those around you. You becoming the fullest expression of who you were created to be is the greatest gift you can give to the world. It's the greatest gift you can give to your children or those you love. Okay? It is the greatest gift that you can do, is to become who and what you were born to become. So there's your message. Please share this with somebody. Like and subscribe on iTunes or Google Play or whatever medium you use to consume this podcast. Thank you for listening to the vibration of my voice. And, that's ultimately what it's all about. The words are there to support the music that was my voice, the music, the energy that was my intention of what I wanted to share with you was conveyed through the vibration of words, but it was all music, and I hope that it was beautiful to you. I will continue to do these shows because of my purpose and my number one core value. I love you, and life is a marathon, so let's train for it. Goodbye, friends.